The cold, that's the first thing you feel. A bone-deep cold that doesn't just numb your skin, it seeps straight into your soul. It tastes like iron and carries the faint smell of snow that's about to fall. Imagine you're an American soldier. December 1944. You're here in the white hell of the Ardennes Forest in what would later be known as the Battle of the Bulge. Around you, tall pines coated in snow loom like silent giants, bending forward as if watching every move you make. Each breath you exhale becomes a dense, white cloud that instantly dissolves into the frozen air. You and your squad are fighting the Germans. Your enemy wears gray coats and carries MG-42 machine guns, guns that can tear a man in half in a heartbeat. You think that's the scariest thing in the world. You're wrong. In the most brutal battle of World War II on the Western Front, there are stories that never made it into military records. Stories whispered over dying campfires, then buried forever under layers of snow. This is one of those stories. The story of Baker Squad of the 28th Infantry Division. 12 men, 12 lives. Logged officially as missing in action. But missing doesn't even begin to explain what really happened. The truth is older and far more terrifying than any war fought by men. It began with a retreat. It ended with a chorus of screams swallowed by a blizzard. If you're someone who loves the hidden corners of history, the secrets buried beneath the dust of time, then this channel is the place for you. Take 1 second to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the mysteries school textbooks never dared to tell. Now, let's go back into the cold of the Ardennes. The leader of Baker Squad was Sergeant Elias Vance, a farm boy from Iowa. Quiet, practical, his eyes had seen far more than any farmer ever should. The weight of 11 other lives sat heavier on his shoulders than his entire military pack. Behind him marched boys whose youth had already been stolen by the war. There was Corporal Brooklyn Russo, a loudmouth from New York, who believed nothing on earth could scare him. There was Private First Class Miller, the radio operator, young, scrawny, eyes wide with fear, clutching his radio set as if it were his only link to the real world. There was Corporal Doc Evans, the medic, quiet, observant, always ready with his aid kit. And Private First Class Dubois, a French-American from Louisiana who knew a bit of old regional French, a skill that seemed useless in war until it wasn't. The German surprise offensive shattered their formation, artillery thundered, machine guns screamed. The squad was cut off, lost from their unit, running low on ammo, their strength eaten away by the relentless cold. The only order echoing in Vance's mind was simple: survive. They climbed higher into the mountains, hoping to find shelter, anywhere to hold out until dawn. And then, through the thickening blizzard, they found it. A village. Its name was Roshnij, according to a half-buried wooden sign. The village nestled in a tiny mountain valley, hidden from the world. Dark stone houses with black-tiled roofs stood in perfect silence. Snow lay thick and untouched over everything. No footprints, no wagon tracks. It was the perfect shelter, or the perfect trap. "Looks like everybody went on vacation," Russo joked, but his voice wavered in the dead stillness. They chose the largest house, probably the mayor's, for shelter. Inside, everything was strangely preserved. Plates still sat on the table, beds neatly made, but there was a thick layer of dust, and the cold felt old, ancient, as if the house had been empty for far longer than it should have been. "Something's wrong," Vance muttered. "No signs of fighting, no shells, no damage. Where did everyone go?" After some searching, Dubois found an old church journal. The pages were brittle, the ink faded. He squinted at the handwritten French. "This place had a legend," he said. "Les Gardiens Blancs, the White Guardians. Mountain spirits. Keepers of the silence of snow. The journal says that, about 10 years ago, the entire village vanished in one night. No explanation." Russo laughed. "White Guardians? Probably just a huge damn bear. I'd rather fight a bear than an SS squad any day." That night, Russo would regret every word. Night in Roshnij wasn't like any other night. It was thick, black. The silence so heavy it felt like it crushed your eardrums. They took shifts guarding, huddled around a weak fire they barely managed to start. The cold didn't come from outside. It radiated from the stone walls themselves. Around midnight, the sound began. It wasn't artillery. It wasn't gunfire. It was a low, drawn-out roar echoing across the peaks. Something between an avalanche and the tortured scream of some massive, suffering creature. Everyone shot awake, weapons raised. "What the hell was that?" Miller whispered, face pale. "Just wind through the mountains," Vance lied, but even he felt ice crawl down his spine. Dubois was posted at the back window. When his shift ended, the man sent to relieve him couldn't find him anywhere. The window was shut. His rifle stood neatly in the corner. His helmet sat on the table. Du Bois was gone. Vanished. No sound. No struggle. No trace. Panic crept into their minds. At dawn, when the storm eased slightly, Vance ordered a search. That's when they found the footprints. Not German boots. Not human footprints. Huge. Long and narrow. 3 elongated claws dug deep into the snow. And the stride. Each print nearly 10 feet apart. Whatever made them stood impossibly tall and moved with terrifying speed. The prints circled the house, stopped right beneath the window where Du Bois had stood guard, then climbed straight up a sheer cliff wall and disappeared. "No way," Doc Evans whispered. "There's no animal alive that could do this." Then Russo screamed from a side alley. "Sergeant, over here!" They ran to him. Russo pointed toward a faint human figure at the alley's end. A German soldier in winter uniform stood there with his back turned. "Drop your weapon," Vance shouted. The soldier slowly turned. His face was bloodless, his eyes hollow, and a bullet hole gaped in the center of his forehead. It was one of the Germans they'd killed yesterday. The ghostly figure stared at them, silent, then dissolved into the swirling snow. Fear turned into pure horror. They weren't just dealing with a creature, something was playing with their minds. "We need to get out of here," Miller stammered. "Right now." "And go where?" Vance snapped. "Out there is a blizzard and German patrols. At least here we have walls." They fell back to the stone church, the sturdiest building in the village. Inside, the air felt even colder. Vance ordered Miller to reassemble the radio and attempt contact. Meanwhile, he, Doc Evans, and Russo examined the priest's journal again. The final entries were rushed, shaky. "Gunfire, too much gunfire from the valley. Man's war, it is waking them. The silence is broken. The white wrath will fall upon all who disturb it. They do not see uniforms. To them, we are all intruders. They do not merely kill, they absorb, they mimic." The moment Doc Evans read the last line, a window shattered above the altar. Snow and colored glass rained down. Something enormous and white appeared in the hole, blocking what little daylight remained. It was tall, unnaturally tall, and impossibly thin. White fur hung in long clumps matted with snow and dried blood. Its limbs were long, spider-like, ending in sleek black claws. It had no face, just smooth skin stretched tight, and a mouth that opened into a pitch-black void, releasing a deep, rumbling hiss. But worst of all were the 2 pale blue lights hovering where eyes should have been, cold, empty, watching. Before anyone could react, its whip-like arm lashed down. Russo, closest to it, was grabbed. He had time for one scream before being yanked into the white storm. "Fire!" Vance roared. Bullets ripped through the church, but they barely slowed the creature, its fur absorbing the impacts. Another one smashed through the main doors, splintering oak into dust. It moved with deadly silence, unnatural for something its size. Then the psychological assault began. They heard Du Bois's voice echoing from everywhere. "Help me. So cold." They saw ghostly German soldiers drifting between pews, their vacant faces turning to stare. Doc Evans dragged a wounded soldier behind the altar, only for one of the creatures to appear beside him. It didn't strike. It tilted its faceless head, and from the black hole of its mouth, a voice emerged. Doc Evans' own voice, warped like a corrupted audio recording. "Pulse. Pulse. No pulse." The last words he spoke over the body of a man he couldn't save. Doc Evans froze, paralyzed in terror. That was his final mistake. The church massacre didn't take long. Baker Squad's brave soldiers were picked off one by one, not by brute force alone, but by a blend of physical violence and psychological horror. In the end, only Vance and Miller remained, hiding in the bell tower, barricading the door with chairs and shelves. They could hear scratching, low growls, the creatures circling outside. "Miller, send the signal," Vance shouted, loading the last bullet into his M1. "Call for help, coordinates, tell them what's happening." Miller's hands shook violently as he twisted the knobs. He raised the mic, voice cracking. "Mayday, Mayday, this is Baker Squad, coordinates, 49.97 north, 6.05 east. We're under attack. Not Germans, oh God, there." A crash. The door burst open. A white guardian charged in. Vance fired his last round, hit the creature, but it only staggered, then lunged. Vance's final act wasn't to defend himself. He snatched the mic from Miller and screamed into it, "Don't come here, I repeat, do not come here. Shell this position, level it." Then the radio captured chaos. Vance's roar, Miller's final scream, the monster's shriek, and then sudden silence. Not complete silence. The radio, by some miracle, had jammed in transmit mode. Weeks later, after the Allies retook the region, a search team went looking for Baker Squad. They never found the village of Roshenage. It was as if a storm had erased it from the mountains. But they did pick up a faint radio signal, a loop that never ended. Miller's scream, Vance's final order, and the hiss of something that didn't belong to this world. The official report claims Baker's squad was wiped out by German forces. Yet soldiers who served in the Ardennes still whisper about the white refrain, a haunting signal that sometimes echoes through radios on the coldest winter nights. So what really happened in Rochinage? Was it mass hallucination from exhausted, traumatized men? Or did humanity's war awaken something ancient, something whose white wrath recognizes no friend or foe, only the sacred silence of snow? We may never know, but the real question is, if the noise of war woke them once, what will happen the next time?